Okay, so I'm in this demo account right now, and I'm set all of my. I have 6K buy stops and 6K sell stops available that last for 1 hour. And all this, if I come up to the keyboard here and hit all the keys on this automated keyboard, what's going to happen is I'm going to see the each key is set to 1K, and this is the first stop on this key here, and it's not actually the first key on this keyboard. The fifth key here is where my stops are going to start. So right here is, this is typically my buy at the market key. This would be buy limits really tight for an up move, really tight buy limits for an up move, or really deep if it's going to be another one, but I bought another keyboard to run deeper limits, so this would be my deepest limits. So on the fifth key, I'm going to start with a 5 pip stop, a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, a 10 pip stop. That's what's running right now. And the same on the sell side. So I just created a mirror image, and I just launched the buys, buy orders, and they look like this right now. This is and I've already dropped, I would say I've hit this whole row of buttons all in unison, and the exits on here are going to be, this is risking 5 pips to make 8, 12, 16, 20, 30, 40. And so there's kind of an expansion of the profits as you get away from center point here, and the stops are like this. So you're looking at this kind of situation. Your risk is like this, and your reward is like this. But if you come up here every hour and hit a 6 stop, if you haven't got filled on anything, then you right? I mean, you know, you're going to risk 6K per hour if you hit the keyboard. Now, if you hit buy and sell keys every 6 hours and put a 12K in there hedged, then it's completely different. So you have to have a little bit of, I did sell earlier on some stops. So I ran some sell stops, and they weren't actually programmed with these tight settings where your first profit is going to be to make 8 pips with a 5 pip stop, and by the time you get up here, you're running 40 pips profit with a stop of 10. So here you're coming down 1 pip at a time per key. On your stops, this one your profits kind of go, if you can see it coming now. To take advantage of a 700 pip move, obviously you'd have to have this set to 700. So the way you come out of the mouth of this this stop, now if you only hit the 1K key, and you can see the market's probably only good for a 16 pip move if you're lucky. So maybe you hit these first 2 keys and you're only looking to make 16 pips. All you have to do is hit the fucking key over and over to get and you're risking on the 8 pip, you're going to risk 6. Risking 6 to make 8, and 5, and 5 to make 8, and 6 to make 16. So I don't know what these, this is like break even kind of, and also this is the other critical thing, which really is why buy stops, if they're too tight, they're just really buy at the market. Depending how, if you're going to babysit a 5-minute chart, you're going to have a script in your fingertips to get in. It looks like this. This is actually set to, and this is the other critical part of this whole system, is the spread and how tight is your buy stop. And here I set everything to 1 pip above. So if you consider this to be the entry, here's your entry at 1 pip above current price. Price is here. Your stops come like this. Your profits are set like this on this keyboard. So what I was looking for is somebody to build a robot that has a knowledge of the ATR, and it runs maybe it runs all of these, but you can see how how to really maximize it, you would have to have the ATR sends out a message to say, okay, you're going to go for a different bank than these hotkeys. You're going to go out and you're going to do this operation. Now, this is where you go beyond hotkeys. You're only allowed 72 hotkeys in MetaTrader. That is the buy-in. So Alt, all the control and Alt keys, the whole alphabet plus 1 through 0, 1 through 10. 1 through 0, 1 through 10, same thing, right? So I'm getting in 1 pip above there, which is nearly at the market. We're here for God's sakes, but it's a volatility breakout system. And if you could go and have a robot that said, okay, we have an ATR of 12, let's go out and get a bank here. Now here's where you'd have to send a message out to another platform. You'd have to just have another computer with the same you need another keyboard, right? But maybe it's a different account. So you cannot take one account and use it for every fucking strategy you thought of, right? You cannot take in, like, if you're playing music, you can't take every favorite lick that you have found to deem to be cool lick and cram it into one song. Maybe you can, right? But not if you're going to sell it and make money. But of course, we're basically in this situation here, stop entry. You're accommodating. You are going with what the market's telling you. If the market's dead in the water, it's telling you that a storm's about to come in. And do you want to ride the explosion into the storm? And when the storm starts, obviously you really want to get these super wide grid limits in, which I've donated to the other demo accounts. So the limit strategy, and there's I've only built the buy side of that right now, but it basically is at this stage is set to get in on limits 10 pips apart for various times. Also, everything on this keyboard lasts for 1 hour. So if I came up here every hour, the worst damage I can do is to risk whatever 5. So you're going to lose, say, 50 cents. You're going to lose $6. Let's just say conservatively, even though the stops are tighter than that. Let's just say you're going to lose $6, and you're probably going to make at least 10 or better, right? Or you're going to risk 6 and maybe you only make if you stopped out of the whole thing, you're risking 6, right? They would stop you out of the whole thing. Now if you press all these buttons instantaneously, maybe you come back every hour and press one button. That changes every fucking thing. So you're going to keep track of your log of what you've done. You can't, if this has scalps built in, you're kind of making money. Okay, I'll risk $1, right? Whatever you feel. And then when we come into the session open of London, maybe you do go to the other thing where you're like, okay, this keyboard is set up right now. If you really were going to do this system, and if I was going to make this a pure stop broker, the keyboard would be completely different. I would not give up any of these keys. They would all be stops. So I have a 5 pip stop, a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You can have 18 stops in here. This is the scalp. You're gonna make your 8 pips. You're gonna make your 12, your 16. When you get to here, I've only stopped at 6 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 40 pip exit. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. 120 pips. All this thing does is get in nearly at the market. Here's the sell side. Of course, let's put the stops in. This is going to be if this is 5, we're going to get this stop here. By the time we get out here, since we're already at 10 on the so if we keep the stops going down at 1 pip per key, And so it's like setting up a pipe organ. Suppose stop. Say you're five. So you're here at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 pips stop to make 120 pips. Right. By the time you get out here, 18. Does this sound like a good ratio? I'm risking 20 pips to make 120 pips. Have you ever seen that happen on the market? If you know which key to hit here, and I'm telling you, if you just did this, and just followed the simple range, so you really could trade this also from a completely non-directional. You get a doji, you hit all these fucking keys, right? Maybe you hit all these keys across, so you're risking $2 in this last key. When you hit all the keys on there every hour, you're risking like probably about $20 or something, right? I don't know, be realistic. If it's 6 keys, if you have you've programmed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 keys, then you're risking about $10. This one's going to get out. This stop on here is like 1 pip away from this stop. And right now, the broker that I'm running this on happens to be running at the a decent spread of 1.5 pips. So I went long here on the stops. I pulled the trigger on the last. If you go 15-minute chart, you could have had. I kind of got in here on buy stops because it was really like buying at the market. And I don't know if I've cashed out anything. And if I was to go to my so you see the sells here are about to get stopped out, and this is before I widened up the stops. I mean tightened up the stops. So what I did was an inversion of every. So I have a symmetrical situation with 6 keys right now programmed. So I'm running this tonight. I'll put the link in the thing here. But the this should not be brainstorm. I mean, this stop entry crap's been going around for. I mean, I used to hear about, got books on it. Oh, breakout strategy, and then there was momentum. There's these kind of like popularity cruises. Cloud trading. I'm like, okay, listen, man. How tight is your stop on that? Like, I get the fact that you could cloud trade with a 300 pip stop, but some of us have time to babysit these ridiculous markets, and when you see an opportunity and you just cannot, you don't have your ticket up, aren't you just frustrated beyond belief? Like, aren't you just think, man, I see this shit all the time, like, why can't I just scalp that? And I'm not scalping. I mean, I'm scalping, so I'm making 3 cents here. And I think that's funny, but some of the richest people in the world are making like 20 cents, but they're selling 4 million units. It's obviously you can't. And think of the low stress, right? If you come up and hit your keyboard, you're going to lose $6. Wow, ouch, So you have no risk, you have no fear. Trade a mechanical system. And it doesn't mean you're a stupid person because you can't see a Gartley. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's tea leaf reading. Like, I try to look for Gartleys on there. I'm like, yeah, I guess I am dumb. Like some guy said to me, you're just dumb. I'm like, yeah, I know. There's a lot of rich, dumb people. Don't forget, some of the richest people are dumb. And here they are. So we're going to go into this debate just started. And they're talking about Trump being this dumb pig. I'm like, dude, these are the people fucking get shit done. I mean, you really want some interior decorators show up and do your plumbing? Not that they couldn't do it, but interior decorators, they're not going to be. Any interior decorators that are in a motorcycle gang? I mean, I'm just saying. So, anyways, this is the update on this demo, and we'll see what happens. I like that. We'll see what happens. No, I want to get in something on a mechanical system that just doesn't take a lot of thinking. And if they stop me out of this, whatever. And now, there's also discretion here. I'm not saying that you can we have to wait another hour here. And this is a 5 pip grid. So I'm actually looking for 5 pip bodies. I set this for candles, for the candle people. No, I mean, I know I rip on candle people, but if you take the body and use it, I get it, right? You're looking for a body here to put in buy stop. When you see the end of this 1 hour closing here, It's kind of like getting at the market in a narrow. So if your volatility is considered to be the body, perfect, right? Because you would have sold here, you would have bought here, you would have. And when I say you would have sold here, you put in stops there at the close of that bar. And of course, on the other time frame, it's probably a killer entry because you're getting this. When you see a small body on the hour, you know you're seeing these beautiful hammers. On the smaller time frame, you would naturally just see them. Here, you're gonna on the 15-minute chart, you're just really gonna say to yourself, why didn't I buy this fucking wick? Like, why didn't I have limits in? So you're gonna have a different thought about what the best trade is for what you're looking at. Who isn't going to have that problem? If you ask any trader, like, well, what about I would just trade that differently. That's a hammer. Well, yeah, in another time frame. And now the spread, you can see it. You can see the spread now, so you can see how you'd have to buy in limits here to take advantage of that. You put stops in there. Okay, you made 7 pips. I guess so. You took a lot of risk though, because according to natural breakout rules, that this is why people say, oh, they're just chopping my account, I'm just getting stopped. Yeah, because the breakout rule is, and the guy that I ripped apart here, the breakout 3 myths about, or the 3 reasons why not the breakout trade. Yeah, the 3 reasons not the breakout trade, and he's presupposing that everybody knows what the fuck he's talking about. Yeah, we're all putting our stops in at the bottom of the range, huh? So what if you're one of these fundamental traders and you're like, dude, I got end of the world stops, okay? I'm getting in here just because Anita Baker, and come on. So I don't know. I guess I'm just too you just get annoyed, I suppose, and then you just have to do a video. But here's the demo. So when I get this thing, if this thing's running and people think it makes money, I will give you the zip file, and there's going to be no soft porn in there. I'll send you, email me the fucking, I will send you the, if you want, I'll send you the hotkey keyboard. I can program this. If this starts to do well, this account, I would just probably program it the way I just said. Donate all keys to stop entry, right? Now I have to pay attention when I switch brokers every time. If you ever do this, maybe you just want to have a hotkey keyboard for that one computer and run that system. But I don't think you, like if you, this is really a scalping system. And so if you have the time, this would never work. This strategy would not work in a news market situation unless you were trading with 300 pip stops and you're just getting in, that's in a news situation. I suppose if you run the 1 minute chart and you're like, okay, I got a script that's got you're running, you can't run 10 and 20 pip stops when the news is out, okay? Because the spreads, or when the news just first breaks. Now, when the market calms down, yeah, you could, but you're going to say, damn, I should have put the 200 pip profits with the 50 pip stops in, okay? I should have brought my, so, this is about conditions. So, since this is Asia too, we could also get trapped here on these breakouts. Asia has the small range to scalp for the little bit of pips there. So if the ATR drops to 5 or 10 pips here, I know what, and then the other orders that I have in here that haven't filled, and they've filled everything on me. So if they either stop me out of this stuff, and see my stops are right down here, and you can't change the color of that stop. You can only change the color of the arrow. So that's always going to be red and blue for the profits. If I wait for this, we just got a 5 pip 15-minute bar here. So maybe your criteria is you're looking for one pullback bar here to put in your buy stop. So if you're a trend trader, you would just run this and maybe turn it from a scalping platform into, okay, I'm going to put a more liberal stop. I'm going to put a 10, and my worst stop's going to be 30 pips. My profits are going to be set to 90 now. I mean to 150 now. So on the continuum of entry, here you can see in the scalp mode we're set up right now, and it's just mode to mode. Your trading modalities, market conditions, market behavior. Right now the stops, and since I pulled the trigger here and got a better price, you can see I have a little wider stop risk here. This is probably on all these fills right here. I'm already in. God, I think because I kept pressing the button so I could take photographs of this. Because when I first did this, I noticed one of these take profits was off, and it was because instead of getting out on bid, I got out on ask. You can get out on ask or bid, but the way I set it up is you're gonna buy the ask and sell the bid in the actual coding. And if you have a different code on your exit, you're gonna see a slightly different exit. You're gonna be like, wait a minute. So this thing kind of like gets out, and then it goes into these every 10. I'm sorry, this is the early exit, and then the big greedy exits are up here. So you see it goes into every this 5 pip grid, so every 10 pips now we're getting out. And this is roughly every 8-ish pips here. And this is what I was saying about if you find the logarithm for this entry where you'd be actually scalping out here, and then you get out here and here and here and here, and it looks more like this, right? And I haven't you know, I kind of just draw that curve on a paper actually. I've just had to just take graph paper and just go like this and make a curve. And I got some drawing tools here. I had to actually get a French curve and put it in there, if everybody knows what a French curve is. And just put it on the paper and just find the best kind of flared out where your stops are like this, and you're like, boom. Now, if this was a news event, and even this, here, see the sell stops are stacking up on the 15, boom. That was the trade. I don't know if you could, now this is the opening the market, so the spreads were probably ridiculous here, so it's not a valid here, but you can see the 15, even if you got in here, and now you're holding and waiting to get those giant rewards, those greedy scripts you wrote. But that's the trade plan. Okay, so we're backing off here. So I can't do anything. I have to wait to get stopped out. There's a 4-hour view. So if they stop me out, I don't think I'm going to blow up the account. And I could have just put in a sell stop just now on that 15. So I'm going to put sell stops in here just in case we are going to tank. So I'm going to try to put in the same amount of money on the sell side, so I'm actually testing this. These are all my, oh, I didn't set a hotkey for that. So here's what you have to do. You go down to set hotkey, and I'm going to make this control 0 for 10, and see, here's all the sell limits, and then the stop start here. So now I'm going to hit the key because I've already got the script. Oh, fuck. I guess I fucked that up. Here it is. I guess I didn't save that. It's supposed to be Alt. So it won't let you save a bad... if it's already been taken, and that's before it would actually let you, and then it would really fuck it up. So, Jesus. I lost the... I typed in the wrong thing there. So Alt 0. Okay. So let me hit an even amount of cells here. Now people would say, oh, you're going to whip, so I'm just going to do it for the demo purposes only. So here comes the exits are symmetrical in the same direction. So now we have a hedge running in sell stops here, and I'm already short here, so these are underwater, those cells from earlier. So another thing, if my balance gets to am I to break even, then I'm going to just let the market play out, and this lets me off the hook psychologically, right? I don't have to take any responsibility for this. Okay, here is, so I'm in this much margin, and then this is profit, here's price. So I should be able to see when I switch price, this is my sell stops about to get hit, and my buy limits, oh, this is left over, I got to get rid of these. So I'm just going to be trading nothing but the euro on this account. So this is left over from something. Looks like it's left over from Friday. Okay, so right now I can switch from here to here. So sell stops and no buy stops right now. Sell stops only. So if I'm wrong, it's going to go the other way. I can also put in, when I'm in profits, I can put in buy stops. So I can put in buy stops now again. And you'll see completely different. This is a tighter stop now. There's a 6K. So if I can keep track on the 15-minute chart, I can hit the button every 15 minutes. And we're basically trading on the premise that we're going to take advantage of the explosion in volatility. This is like options trading. And this is our take profits. Now I could just hit, I hit all 6 keys every time. I'm just going to hit nothing but the scalp key and the next scalp key. So I'm going to get out on the, this is a 5 pip grid, mind you, so it only has to go up 10 pips here. For 8, 12, 16 are my exits. You could make that you can make the stops logarithmic too. You can make the stops start to fall out on the bottom side, so you can have linear soft stops, say, and then you have your logarithmic exit, and then you have maybe a logarithmic exit, logarithmic stops and a logarithmic exit, or you go linear to linear. If you just had your stops and your take profits, maybe your stops are on this slope, your take profits look like this. And so I built these all inside of the magically free graph paper. Here's the sell side. There's a sell side looks like this. The stop is up at 10 pips, worst stop, and best exit is here. So if you drop, and this is, say, nearly at the market, pretty much a market order. It could be a market order too, but I'm just, for psychological reasons, because I need confirmation of at least 1 pip, so I'm going to put one, there's 1 pip here of fill. And this is your, what your, this is, represents 15 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour. From the other video I did about the breakout system. So you can build a whole life around breakout. You can build a whole bunch of stuff around a whole life around breakout. You could be a breakout trader. You could clean up, and you could just leave all the speculations to the people that have drawn channels and all that, because it wouldn't matter. Like, if you were making money on a move to the edge of the channel, the fact that the channel exists is inconsequential to the amount of money you're making, because you've chosen your risk up front. Here I would be risking so here's my entry, and here is going to be my worst stop is up here, and I'm just going to put it over on the 1 hour to say that this time's ticking away. And we've got, if I hit all 6 keys on the sell side, starting with my first stop being at 5 pips, right now in a 6K configuration, I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then my take profits are going to be the 8, the 12, the 16, and then we're going to go to this, not parabolic, but you know, this is where you can tweak something to, well, what is the best? Maybe you, now mind you, there's probably slippage in spread. There's spread is about 2 pips at worst point. You know, your worst spread's 2 pips, and so you could just trade the euro off of you could get 3 demos, run multiple desktops, and run different variations of it. And you could see that if you just waited 40 seconds to drop an order, would change everything. And so you could also have a script that literally drops to get around the. I'm trying to make it so that it's hard to blow the thing up, but if you made it so that every hour that went by, you just hit a button that launched this script instead of having the buy stop singled out to, okay, when I hit this key, I know this is a 40 pip exit. When you hit this one key on your keyboard, it runs a script, and then you have another key for, okay, it's going to be a 6K on one button. I put a 1K on each button of that keyboard. Now imagine, and this is why people are like, well, look at yeah, you can blow up the account real quick, because if you are testing shit out with this, oh my God, think about it. If you didn't have enough money in the account, some guy in the chat room asked today, how can I make $5,000 a month? How much money do I need to make $5,000 a month trading? And the guy said, depends how good you trade. I mean, it's so hilarious. People have this, oh, I want to make $5,000 a month. Like maybe their day job makes $5,000 a month. So they're going to queue that all up. Well, you'd have to come in here and you'd have to do all the math. If you really wanted to do that, and now if you have a day job, maybe this is a buy, maybe this is a sell limit sitting at, maybe he's selling at the market here. But if this, the limit thing's a whole different world, because you're literally buying, when this plunges down here, you've got buy limits down here like this, with the inversion of this with a soft stop, say, and your targets are going to come back to equilibrium. So if the currency fell out of bed and it's going to wake up and get coffee, and this is your whole trade, then that's the limit strategy for that, right? Now that's more applicable to people that have day jobs that they just don't want to worry about. Like they're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy a little sell high. But I have that's more difficult in a way, because how do we know how far it's going to go? Where here I know that I know my risk. I'm either going to get kicked out of this stuff every hour, every 4 hours. Now the more I press the button, the more I'm my worst enemy as far as, okay, I'm over trading. When you get into this limit stuff, and I posted that all that limit entry stuff to say, if we really don't know how far market's going to go, then why don't we just throw a bunch of fucking orders out there? And a lot of people are like, you're just going to throw, yeah, well, I mean, you just told me nobody knows where the market's going to go. Okay, well, if that's true, and so you hear these empowered trader people say that we're going to spend all this time with our fibs, and well, in the end, we really don't know where the market's going to go. Great, thanks so much. And they never drill down to the whole problem of life in general. Does if you can't get to if you're trying to make money trading and you're just hit and miss, like you haven't bought, like this is like saying I want to go be an assassin, but you've got like a one of those little baby pocket pistols. Okay, well, yeah, sure, you want to make $5,000 a month, but do you want to get you need to have game. You need to have better game than Trump, Okay, I'm going to go watch these debates. It's too hilarious. We're now coming into the window here. And so let's see how this puppy does. Anybody that wants this, when I get it tuned up, right now it's at 6K. So if I put every hotkey, I'll send you the hotkey, the whole platform. And if you're going to buy this keyboard for, I'm not getting any kickback from Cherry out of Germany that makes these keyboards that's been around for these just Iron Horse keyboards. I'm not getting any kickbacks from them, so that's not my side game. But I'm telling you what, when I saw that, I about died. There's other ways you can go. There's way more expensive keyboards. When I saw that, I said, we got something here. I mean, even my Tequilaholic buddy 6 years ago, we both decided if you were going to scalp, you needed to have foot switches for buy and sell. I mean, come on. Who couldn't see that coming? Any gamer in their right mind would be like, dude, come on, I got this shit. I'm going to buy a fucking 100K with my left foot on limits a half a pip. I mean, who's not? if these guys are all that with their fake guns and fake hot chicks and their gaming videos, then okay, it's 9:30. Let's see where we're at. And then I got to go back to watching this fucking political drama. Crack me up all day long. But yeah, I'll send you the hotkeys I program in here because this is a bitch to program. But what I did was I made this. I would tell you what it is. You can see right here. If you put mouse over, Control 1 left, and Alt is on top. So it's all Alt all the way through to 10. You could add these on, but then you got to come in with letters now. It's got to be Control A B C D E, Alt A B C D E, and and this is my take all profits key right now. This is my delete all objects. But that file, I'd send you that file. I would send you the platform, the MT4 folder that has. So this is talking to the hotkeys in there, and just go trade it, and be my guest. I care less. I mean, this is for people that are trying to make money, and I just feel bad for people that go. This is why I rip on all these guys that are selling. I mean, when I was a kid, if you spent $2,000 with somebody, holy shit! I had lunch with Tom Basso. I don't know if you know what Tom Basso is. I had lunch with this guy. I sit next to this guy that's made so much fucking money. You know why? He's trading silver one day, him and his wife, and they were short the silver. They were long silver, and it was exploding. And this is back in the 80s, and the market reversed on them. And you know what he said? Volatility matters. They lost he was in crude oil trade. He was in crude oil, or somebody told me a story. Yeah, I think it was him. He was in crude oil, and crude oil was down limit. And he's like, "Honey, we got a problem." Him and his wife were big. They made so much fucking money in silver. Tom Basso, Basso. So it's like 1990, and we're having lunch, and I'm just like trying to pick his brain gently because I feel like I'm with some fucking underground Hollywood star. And what a mellow guy, holy shit! But he said, dude, he said we should have just got the fuck out when the volatility kicked out. He got in at a really good price. And then it's clicked in his head. It's all about risk. And then another thing he said that was really bizarre, I thought it was kind of pretty zen. He said, what you need is space. You need a lot of space. I said, a lot of people are like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Don't lose it now on us, man. He's speaking in front of about 30 people in Chicago. Everybody paid $2,000 to be there. And so he says, 3 days, and he says, well, like for instance, your office. He's got an office where he's got like about, I'd say, a room that's probably 30 feet by 30 feet or something, and he's got one desk in there, so there's a bunch of space. And so when he's on the phone with a client, he walks around the room and he paces, going, "Oh boy." And he says, if I didn't have that space, I think he says I'd probably do really dumb shit. Like tell him, "Fuck you." If he was in a class in a small space and his client's bitching, he'd probably come on a rap or something. But anyways, that was what he said. It was just, that's why. And then later on, years later, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to get rid of these indicators. And I thought, yeah, I just made more space. And I thought, I mean, this sounds really stupid, like some type of, oh, so that's all you need is space, huh? Oh, I get it. But, and not that I paid $2,000 for a guy to tell me that I need more space in my life, and maybe this had to get rid of my psycho babes. But I'll tell you what, if you take this concept, I mean, this sounds like, I hate to sound like a Star Trek, Star Wars, the Force be with you, but it's that stupid because trading is just in the mechanical sense. I mean, if you're just going to trade mechanically, then you don't have an emotional thing in there. In the space, think the space a robot has, right? He's got a lot of space in his head. Anyways, that's and I just was kind of dumbfounded. So I thought to myself after the 3-day weekend, I thought, holy shit, that's, I don't know if I could deal with that. Sometimes too much space makes you feel really small and really in danger. in a smaller space, you can control your world. So you see a definite problem when, especially in the market is so huge and deep that that can be a little. You can have some anxiety there. You watch the British pound move down like 700 pips in about under 5 minutes, I'd say. You're just like, geez, really? Talk about space, right? And then another thing, it was putting limits in really deep. It was about spacing them wider. I mean, it's so silly, but it's true in a way. And trading's just not. I don't know. I don't know if you can really. Once you start to paint your view of reality on top of the market, then mechanical trading kind of shows you that you don't need to know where the market's going to make money. And I would say that would be about hitting every key on the keyboard here, all the buys and sells on a demo, and just testing the theory that, okay, I'm in a narrow range, I'm just going to put a hedge on. Fuck that. And of course, paying attention to the stops and all that. Well, what is the broker giving you for a spread? What's the expectable? If everything's set to make good ratios, and if you hit every key too often, yeah, you're going to slowly bleed your account. A cut of 1,000 knives, I get it. And for some people, they're going to, well, fuck this system, it doesn't work, and then they're just going to anger trade it at the market. I know, the fuck that shit. I mean, who hasn't done that, right? Who hasn't been in a relationship with the hottest babe on the planet and go, oh, fuck this bitch, and then you're like later on going, oh yeah, I guess we'll try to work it out. So if that is going to come into your trading, like how you deal with your life comes into your trading. So when Bezos says you need a room with a lot of space and a desk, I thought, well, yeah, maybe you just got to get rid of the indicators and put one currency pair on each broker, and not try to fucking be like, okay, I just built like the next coming of Christ trading system, and I'm going to just load the wagon on everything I think I see here and everything I think I can act on, and or act out on, because if you act out in real life, you're going to act out in the market, right? And you're just going to blow up your account. Anyways, so that's the demo. Let's see what happens.